Gordon, a victory for the U.S. and its allies against ISIS terrorists over the weekend as U.S. airstrikes broke an ISIS siege against a town in Iraq. But American lawmakers say the White House needs to do more as concerns grow about the threat ISIS poses to the West. Caitlin Burke has the story.
U.S. airstrikes against ISIS are proving to be effective. This weekend, the U.S. military assisted in a humanitarian operation to free the Iraqi town of Amerli from a 6-week siege. U.S., British, French, and Australian aircraft also dropped food and water to help the thousands of people living there. But lawmakers say it's time to expand on the airstrikes and confront the Islamic radicals that continue to wreak havoc in Iraq.
We now are facing the largest, most powerful, wealthiest terrorist organization in history, and it's going to require some very strong measures to defeat them.
This is a vicious, vicious movement, and it has to be confronted.
Many believe ISIS is a direct threat to the West. Last week, Great Britain increased its threat level to severe, and lawmakers warn against underestimating the threat that ISIS poses to the U.S.
These groups, they don't need any excuse. They will attack us whenever they can. I believe strongly that ISIS does plan on attacking the United States.
According to U.S. intelligence, more than 100 Americans have joined the ranks of ISIS. The fear is they'll use their passports to get back into the country. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Throughout northern Iraq and Syria, the scourge of ISIS has forced thousands of refugees into a life without homes, job, and family. As they face an uncertain future, churches are helping fill that void with help and hope. Chris Mitchell brings us that story.
Where can you go when you've lost almost everything? Many of the churches in Erbil literally open their doors for the many Christian refugees that fled the advance of ISIS. They simply feel that it's the church's calling to provide refuge for families like these. The Kurdsman Church transformed their building into a true sanctuary.
The building is for the humanity.
Pastor Majid Mohammed opened doors for both Christians and non-Christians.
We wanted to show those people we don't care that they are Christians, Yazidis, Muslims. We don't care about that because they are human beings and they have been fired out, kicked out at their home by ISIS and the terrorist groups. So this is why we wanted to show them that as a Christians we love them and we are very glad to have them here and serve them.
This man led a mini exodus of several families to the Kurdsman Church.
On behalf of all the people right here, Pastor Majid is really showing the love of Jesus.
Across town at the Ankara AOG Church, families who are now safe talked about the violent ultimatum they faced.
We have been told by ISIS if we don't convert to Islam, either they will kill us or we will have to leave the city.
For most, it wasn't a choice at all.
We prefer to die rather than convert to Islam. God has created us as Christians and we don't want to convert to Islam. The power of God keeps us and strengthens us to remain as Christians.
Most will never return like this policeman who escaped with his family and 10-day-old baby.
I am already wanted by the Islamic groups over there. And secondly, I am a Christian. As a minority, I am also wanted by ISIS, so we cannot go back there anymore.
Most told us they simply want to leave Iraq.
This is the only way or the only solution for our problem because we cannot go back to our home and we cannot stay here. We want to go out. Even if they provided international protection, we don't want to keep staying here.
Their long-term fate remains one of the major questions in this humanitarian crisis. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Erbil, Kurdistan.
Russian President Vladimir Putin is calling on Ukraine to immediately start talks on a solution to the crisis in eastern Ukraine. Only hours after Putin's call, Ukraine said land forces fired on a border guard vessel in the Azov Sea. The attack took place amid heightened concern that pro-Russian rebels are trying to take control of the land bridge between Russia and the Crimean Peninsula. 2 federal judges have ruled against abortion laws in Louisiana and Texas. A judge threw out the new restrictions on abortion in Texas that would have effectively closed more than a dozen clinics across the state. The ruling blocks a portion of the law that would have required abortion facilities to meet the operating standards of hospitals. Supporters say that would protect women's health. But the judge concluded the law was intended to close existing abortion clinics. And a federal judge has temporarily blocked a new abortion law in Louisiana. The judge says the law can still go into effect today, but officials cannot penalize doctors or clinics for breaking it while a challenge is being heard. U.S. universities are taking steps to guard against international students bringing the Ebola virus onto their campuses. As many as 10,000 students from affected countries will be coming to American universities this fall. The Centers for Disease Control says there's no cause for alarm, but some institutions are following CDC guidelines as a precaution. And you can always get the latest from CBN News by going to cbnnews.com.